If you've been watching this channel, you should already know that debt is bad. You should also know that debt has varying levels of utility. Some debt is just simply worse than others. But the question we have today is, can we quantify the helpfulness of the most common versions? We can villainize all, but on the other hand, all this debt exists because it comes with some benefits. Some of it helps us buy assets, and other forms can be our savior in times of need. So here at Money Makes Sense, we're going to do something unique. Let's rank some of the most common consumer debt types. And from there, let's understand which ones you should consider and which ones you should avoid like the plague. While for the average American, I'd rather you stay away from all forms of debt outside of a mortgage, I understand that it may not be realistic for a lot of us out there. And if you're in that boat, it's important to understand that not all debt is created equal. But when a lender presents you with a loan, they won't tell you that. There may be a better option out there, yet they'll do their best to sell you on that product until you're convinced it is the best decision you can make. This list is meant to put into perspective which forms of debt you should give the most caution to and which forms could screw up your financial life the most. And to be clear, these are the thoughts of myself and my team, but if you disagree, let us know in the comments. Are there any other types of loans you would have included? And would you have put them in a different order? As we get into this, we'll start from the best to worst with the most popular loan out there, the mortgage. The mortgage is the king of all debt, and for a good reason. Mortgages make the largest builder of wealth in America, that being homes, well, affordable. Let's face it, saving up cash for a home can be pretty difficult. Most people find they can pay off their homes quicker than the 30-year timeline of most fixed-rate mortgages, but buying upfront in cash proves to be a dilemma. Unlike most other consumer debts, the mortgage is backed by the value of your home. And because homes generally appreciate, you're able to offset the interest of the loan by simply living in the house. And when you pay off the loan, you become the owner of this asset, which adds significant wealth to your portfolio. While we rank this one as the king of debt, don't think it's all roses. Being house poor is a real problem in America. Make sure you have no more house than you can afford, or 25% of your gross income on a monthly basis. Also consider other home costs outside of the mortgage and make sure you can afford those as well. These can be home repairs, HOA fees, and improvement costs that really add up if you're not aware of them. So mortgages are great, but after this, the distance really widens when it comes to consumer debt, and none of the other debt types hold a candle to the home loan. The closest would be student loans. They don't necessarily appreciate, but they can increase your income and put you into a career you love. That's not only financial appreciation, but also life appreciation. This is why the student loan is the second on our list. But newsflash, in order to get these benefits, you need to graduate. 24% of first-time college students don't graduate. If you're considering student loans, don't let this be you. This is one of the easiest ways to throw tens of thousands of dollars down the drain, like I did. Others in these loans don't get a job in the industry that they went to school for, or choose a career that doesn't have much earning potential. You need to be careful with this because if you didn't need that degree in the first place, you again wasted tens of thousands of dollars. Check out our student loans video on how to avoid many of these pitfalls and actually use the student loans to your advantage. Number 8 on our list is the vehicle loan. This is probably our first controversial pick, and we're already getting to consumer debt types that we'd like you to avoid at all costs. If you can pay for a car in cash, then just do it. But the car loan does have its merits if you're unable to do so. First, you need a reliable form of transportation to get to work and fulfill your life obligations. Whether you like it or not, in the United States, Canada, Australia, and many other countries, for the vast majority of us, the only form of transportation we can take reliably is a car. Don't blame me for that, blame the infrastructure. So if you don't have cash, a minimal car loan can fulfill that need. We're not talking about a new truck or a luxury car, but just enough car that can get you from point A to point B reliably and safely. Another positive of the car loan is it's backed by an asset, which is the car itself. But note that cars tend to depreciate quickly, meaning that it's incredibly easy to be in a situation where you owe more on your car than the vehicle is worth. And that can be a really bad spot to be in when a financial crisis comes to your life. So if you need a car, follow the 23-8 rule. That's 20% down, 3 years of payments, and no more than 8% of your gross income on payments each month. Now, interest rates are kinda high right now, and if you need to put more than 20% down to reach these numbers, then do so. But sadly, number 7 is not as fun. Medical debt. Now, in some cases, medical debt can be unavoidable. This is one of the bigger reasons it's near the top of our list. Another reason it's here is because medical debts tend to be 0% interest even when delinquent. So if you have it, you may not be paying interest, but your credit score will likely get dinged heavily if it's sent to collections, which is heavily dependent on the amount of medical debt you have. So given these reasons, you may be thinking medical debt could rank higher than a car loan. Well, a lot of medical debt can be avoided in totality, and therefore, in our eyes, it just can't come above a car loan. The first line of defense against medical debt is insurance. If you aren't insured, look into getting a good insurance policy and visit in-network doctors. That will give your insurance company the best rates. Most insurance policies these days do come with a deductible, so you should have an emergency fund or health savings account stocked away to cover your out-of-pocket fees each year. HSAs are especially great because of the tax benefits they provide. Next, seek preventative care. Studies show that less than half of Americans visit the doctor yearly and only 1 in 5 have seen a doctor in the last 5 years. Catching issues early and preventing them from coming up can save you tons in medical expenses over time, and more importantly, could save your life. So now that we're reaching number 6 on our list, these consumer debt options are looking very bleak. From here on out, we'll be talking about debts that should not be messed with at all. So number 6 is the personal loan. Personal loans aren't great when it comes to taking on new debt. They can charge anywhere from 6% to over 35% interest. These types of interest rates on unsecured debt or debt not backed by an asset can be extremely deadly financially, so you need to avoid them. But if you have existing debt, such as a credit card, car loan, or payday loan, a personal loan can be the savior you need, which is why it's coming in at number 6. Personal loans can offer you better interest rates than credit cards or payday loans. If you found yourself in trouble with those types of debts, then your personal loan could be used to pay off that debt. Now you have a much more favorable and manageable debt burden. When it comes to car loans specifically, if you've bought too much car but need to sell, a personal loan could help fill the gap if you're underwater. And underwater simply means that the sale of the car would not cover the amount left on the loan. So if you're in a tough situation, it's important to acknowledge that personal loans are an option. Number 5 is the family loan. Family loans sound great on paper, right? Uncle Jim is charging you 0% interest, and he'll let you set the payoff terms and won't send you to collections if you don't pay. It's a pretty sick deal. But when it comes to all family loans, they tend to not get paid back in a timely fashion. Who would have thought? As a matter of fact, many of them don't get paid back at all. And I don't know about you, here at Money Makes Sense, we're here for the important things. And that's not just keeping your money in your pocket, but also to ensure that your financial situation doesn't ruin your life. This includes those relationships that are important to us. Things start to get a bit scary from here. We're beginning to enter the dungeon and introduce the villains of debt, the infamous interest rate bandits. You need to watch out for these guys. They suck you in by selling you on easy monthly payments and access to more money. But on the back end, they are siphoning your cash through exorbitant interest rates and fees while you enjoy your new Peloton bike and that first-class trip to Europe. So let's start with the buy now, pay later loan at number 4. Similar to credit cards, buy now, pay later loans have very high interest rates. It can be well into 30 to 40% range. Any interest rate this high is extremely dangerous. Sure, as a saving grace, a lot of buy now, pay later loans have 0% interest rate offers for many really big purchases. But be aware. This is meant to make items you can't afford seem affordable, so make sure you have the cash on hand to pay for that item before getting sucked in. The 0% interest rates can also come with a catch. For example, most of them require you to pay them off within a certain amount of time or get hit with the interest that backed up since the beginning. Often paying the minimum each month doesn't qualify you for this deal, so you must take the effort to make sure you're paying enough on a monthly basis to make sure it's paid off by the deadline. And number 3, we have, credit cards. The biggest reason we put this below the buy now, pay later loan is because the credit card's long history of taking advantage of consumers. Credit cards come with all the same issues that the buy now, pay later loans presents, but they're far more sophisticated at this point. Over the course of decades, credit cards have built up fee and reward structures guaranteed at pulling you in and extracting the most amount of money from you as possible. So if you're not a credit card person and do not know how to manage them correctly, never open one. And number 2 is the payday loan. Avoid this like the plague. Payday loans are enticing for many borrowers because they're incredibly easy to get. They may not require a credit check, and they're quick and very available. But for that accessibility, you'll pay a hefty price in the form of interest rates as high as 1,000%. Do not mess with the payday loan. So you might be asking, how does it get worse from there? Well, let me tell you, because we've reached the granddaddy of all bad debt. And that's number 1, the worst debt on our list, legal and IRS debt. The moral of the story is, do not break the law. Legal collections are powered by just that, the law. With the law, they can take actions that plain old creditors just can't. This can be garnishing your wages and seizing your assets. The lawsuits associated with these debts in and of itself is expensive as well. Common forms of legal debt are child support and court-ordered judgments. If you're too delinquent on your regular debt, your creditors can sue and get the courts involved as well. Bankruptcy also falls into this category. We won't get into bankruptcy this episode, and you should always consult a lawyer, but note that bankruptcy is not a get-out-of-jail-free card. Instead, you're giving control of your money over to the courts due to your failure to fix the issue. Now, out of all legal departments to owe, there can't be anything worse than the IRS. Always pay your taxes or you could be in a world of hurt. If you're a small business owner, consult a tax professional to make sure you're doing everything correctly. As a matter of fact, this could save you tons of money in the long run. The IRS will charge crazy delinquents fees if they catch you missing payments. And if you're late on your taxes, the IRS will usually charge you 5% of what you owe each month your taxes are due. And if you choose to evade your taxes, you're potentially in for a world of pain. Not only will you have to pay your taxes back with fees, but you could be subject to years of jail time. And this won't be a quick process either. It will be filled with paperwork, stress, and days of loss. Check out all the resources linked in the description below, as they are what I use or would use in specific situations. This includes the best budgeting program in the history of the internet.